So, I've been asked to speak on engaging India. It's a very broad subject, so I decided I won't do it. I don't know enough about it, but I will speak about, our little experiences, in Naukri, in InfoEdge, in 99acres, Jeevan Sathi, Zomato, all of those things, and what we've done, and what we've learned. I've called this wisdom in hindsight, because quite clearly, we didn't know a lot of this stuff when we were doing it. Some of it worked by accident, some of it worked by design. Whatever it is, when I look back, on the last 17 years of doing Naukri, 25 years of being an entrepreneur, this is some of the stuff that I think has, I've understood. So I'll start by talking about 2 or 3 stories of a couple of sort of successful businesses that we launched, and where the ideas came from. So I think one of our red-hot companies, we own 50% of Zomato, and everybody's talking about Zomato these days among the other companies. So I'll just talk about, so the CEO of Zomato, Deepinder, he's 31, co-founder, Pankaj Chadha is 29, both from IIT Delhi. So Deepinder is 2005 batch IIT Delhi, and he tried to do a startup for a few months after IIT, and it didn't work, and then he went and joined Bain Consulting, right, in Delhi. And the office is in Gurgaon, and there were, I guess, a couple of hundred people there. I don't know exactly how many. Most were single, most were young, most didn't bring lunch from home, right? And they worked crazy hours, so they had to order in, right? And there was a cafeteria, but all the food was ordered in. So there was a bunch of about 85 restaurants which delivered to that location. And the menu cards, the takeaway menu cards were, were all there in a stack in the cafeteria. And it was a shared resource. You couldn't take it away to your desk, because if you did, you'd lose it, and others couldn't access it. And so there used to be a long line at lunchtime, or just before lunchtime, to figure out where to order lunch from. And Deepinder got tired of waiting in line, so he simply scanned all the menu cards, right? And he put them on his personal page on the office intranet, right? And within 2 days, he got a call from the head of IT infrastructure saying, "What have you done? Why is there so much traffic on your page?" Yeah. And that's where he got the idea from, and he went to his country manager, Ashish Singh. And so, he was on this 2-year associateship kind of program where you work for 2 years, then you move out, right? And he went to him and said, "Listen, on weekends, can I do this as an experiment? I just want to gather menu cards from restaurants in Delhi and put it up on the net and see what happens." Yeah. And Ashish Singh sportingly said, "Yeah, sure thing, do it in your spare time." And so he and Pankaj Chadha went to 800 restaurants, and picked up the takeaway menu cards and scanned them and put them up. And they called the site Foodie Bay. Okay? And in next to no time, they began to get traffic with no advertising. And I also began to use it. Yeah? And so did Hitesh, my partner. And of course, we invested because we liked the site and we used it, and that's how we got to know about them. But that's another story. But the point I want to make, I'll just stop here on this story and say this is how Zomato was launched. This is where the idea came from. Okay? The Naukri story is very well documented. About in 89, 90, I used to work in a company that was then called HMM. I was, brand manager for Horlicks. And the marketing department, the marketing team, the junior executives, there were 10, 12 of us, we'd sit in an open hall. And I used to observe that when the office copy of Business India came in, everybody would read it from the back. Reason being that in those days, Business India would carry 35 to 40 pages of appointment ads at the back. It was the #1 advertising medium for appointment ads for managers. And then people would start discussing about jobs, and they would never apply for them because they were actually in a very good company with very few options in Delhi. You want FMCG, you want MNC, you want marketing, you want Delhi. There's just 2 options, Nestle and HMM in those days. And they wouldn't hire from each other. So you went the best job you could be. But nevertheless, it was about, so from there, 7 years later, the idea of Naukri came, and 7 years later, we launched. So the point I'm trying to make is that successful businesses are built on deep customer insights, especially consumer businesses. wherever we have succeeded, it's been because we had a customer insight and the idea came from there. And we tried to solve an unsolved problem. We were first mover, we innovated, and all of those things. So successful businesses often don't happen because it worked in the US, so it'll work in India. Right? And today, we've invested in 9 startups outside the company. We must have, seen 400 entrepreneurs do that, reviewed 400 business plans. And I can tell you, if a business has natural traction, right, you should just back it. It's going to succeed. Because if a business has natural traction, it means that you don't have to sell, the customer wants to buy. And if you're in the position where the customer wants to buy, you don't have to sell. You get your terms of trade, you get your prices, you can charge 100% once. Naukri is a negative working capital business still today. We started off 17 years ago charging 100% once, we still do, and we get it. So this is one of the key things that I have learned, and probably the most important thing that I have learned over the last 25 years as an entrepreneur, that opportunity identification is the single biggest decision an entrepreneur will take. You identify the right opportunity, then you execute. Execution is important, but execution of the wrong opportunity only gets you so far. The other is you need a great team. And I mean a great team. I don't mean just, people you can get hold of. And essentially, to succeed as an entrepreneur, you have to be the magnet for talent. People have to want to work with you. So essentially, you have to be the kind of person people want to work with. Right? And, when I look at ESOPs, so we must have given away, if I remove the dilutions from investors, the VC dilution, the IQ dilution, the QIP dilution, if I remove the impact of that, of what remains, we must have given away 35% of the company to people who made it happen. You really cannot attract and retain high-quality talent over a sustainable period of time, over 10, 15 years, if they don't believe they've got a fair share. The other thing that's worked for us is, when I look at Naukri, the market structure is such that the market power resides with us. Our single largest client accounts for 0.3% of our turnover, of our sales. On the other side, we've got over 4 crore job seekers. We are the platform. We've got 70% traffic share in the market. The power resides with us. And that gives us huge, EBITDA margins, gives us huge market power, gives us the terms of trade we want. We've invested substantially in technology, R&D, new products, new features, stuff that differentiates us, and that helps a lot. Again, this is something I understand now, I didn't understand then. If you go and talk to any early stage entrepreneur, he will, how scalable is your business? They will all say it's very scalable. Right? I have yet to meet a guy who's ever said, no, my business is not scalable, and I'm happy. All businesses are scalable. But now in hindsight, it's slightly more apparent to us as to what scales better than other stuff. I think products are more scalable than services. I think self-service is more scalable than a high-touch service. I think standardized stuff is more scalable than customized stuff. Okay, I think stuff that requires offline presence is less scalable than stuff that is self-service online and so on. So understand the DNA of scalability, and not every business has to be scalable. Yeah, if you're raising capital from elsewhere, you need to scale because you've got to give a 10x return back, maybe. But you can run a business quite happily without raising money. So I quit my job in 1990. It's been 24 years now. In the first 10 years, for 6 years, I could not take a salary from 90 to 93 and 97 to 2000. For 3 years after that, there was a meltdown and we struggled. And enough of my friends became entrepreneurs and went back to jobs halfway. Okay, I think the best kept secret of most successful entrepreneurs is not brilliance. It is just persistence. Okay? So these are some of the things I've learned. One of the things I was also asked to talk about is, what do you think is happening in the market? So I've compared to the 99, 2000, I compared to the 2007, 8 era. And a few things are different, I think. And this is what everybody talks about, which is why they justify the valuations. First of all, the amount of money that's coming in is completely crazy. I've not seen anything like this. What gets missed out is that almost all of it is in 8 to 10 companies. There are other companies raising money, but it's nowhere near at this scale. So the other day I was counting, I found it very hard to count beyond 10 the number of companies that are getting big money. And then people talk about, inflection point, hockey stick, all of that. So all of that is true. Internet usage has gone up substantially. Mobile phones are big. So this is real. This is happening. Yeah. On the basis of this, has the market overheated? Possibly so. And then people talk about the China president and people who made lots of money in China on the internet, and we won't name names, are saying, oh, this is nothing, and they put in a couple of $1 billion, and but for us, it's a lot, right? So these things are different. Something is the same, actually. This hasn't changed. And I suspect we will see some of this play out in the months to come. That companies that have raised a lot of money will tend to spend a lot of it, and not always in the most discerning manner. Some of the best companies in the world, on the internet including, are capital efficient, or have been capital efficient, that they've reached profit without spending too much money. I think Google only raised $25 million. Yeah. So I don't know how this will play out in India. Point is, parties end suddenly, and they end without warning. Or maybe one or two people saw the warnings, but even they didn't listen. It's happened before. I don't know when it's going to happen. But kabhi na kabhi hoga. I'll end here. Happy to look at any questions.